among other members of her family. Her clothes were a shocking pink color, and as her wet hair dried, it began beguilingly to curl, and she was fragrant. And Tom thought she was showy. She is not common in the wild. And lots of other people still go up to her and consider her the way Tom does. Most persistently, she brings into view a face that displays full-bodied welcome. One weekday evening in a local restaurant, a very tall, drunk man walked over to the pair, kissed Valentina on the mouth, and then departed quickly. Tom had questions. It was a puzzling capper to a typical day. Tom, on that day at work, had closed out tax cases upon which no tax was due, and awaited a repairman to discuss the photocopier failure. And Valentina has responsibility for all of the patients on her hospital shift as well as the building, and people are responsive to her, sometimes fervently. She did not respond, however, to Tom's questions. She kept at her meat. She might otherwise have been caught in contradictions, but then she backed up in her chair and she gave her husband her answers. But it isn't true. I don't recall. Sort of. Yes, I sometimes do. At bedtime, Valentina lay on her back, arms at her sides, as did Tom. There was no intertwining and no tender touch that needed to become better still, except that their small patterned wallpaper seemed to be excited the next morning. The tiny daisies were scored by the shadows of the slats of the Venetian blinds, and the stripes were shivering. And here, at dawn, was Valentina's instrumental smile, her sign of sweetness that is the flying start, the fresh impetus, the feature on her face that creates her particular style. And in theory, she well understands any person's right to have privacy, to challenge and to complain without fear of reprisal, to make known his or her wishes, to receive complete information, to be wrenched. Have a seat in the big black chair. I had had enough of everything during what I took to be my turn. "Can I just pet it?" I said when Tim and I were in bed, instead of my taking it inside. But Tim said no. And then, at the task, he pulled himself back and forth inside of me with many repetitions, enough to get to the next step for him, to stabilize the project. He was cramming rather a lot into the tiny space. At any rate, in the aftermath, I was catching a partial view of the whitewashed brick wall through the window, and I could see the boxed Dutch blooms that needed deadheading. The first of the daytime light was hitting the flowers hard, like the big sky lightning that doesn't quit suddenly. This life with Tim King came about abruptly, and while I am on this subject, what compromises must I continue to make? What are my hopes? Think. Tim tells me that his memories sting him to death. I got up, dressed, had coffee, arrived at work, made telephone calls, and sat at my desk on one leg. Then they said, "Have a seat in the big black chair," which I did, and Mr. Damien will be with you shortly. Mr. Damien has excellent posture, and he reminds me very much of Tim, who doesn't work here. I had pangs. When Mr. Damien arrived, we talked for more than a quarter of an hour about my new stint to check in freight shipments. The good thing is that my new job is 9 to 5, since I slow down at 5. The sight of Mr. Damien parting his hair with his hand backfired or exploded as far as I was concerned, because I guess his reaching fingers were twirling, so that I was jittery, and I didn't hear every word he said concerning the payroll data. His hair is blonde. His ears are set close to his head. His nose hardly protrudes. His mouth was opening and closing, and pouring out a capsule summary of yet another list of my duties. Well, I will try to take pride in a job well done.